Did you know that God has books in heaven? And these books aren't ordinary books. They're special books. They're record books. And they're full of data about your life and about my life. You know, it may surprise you, but God keeps an exact record of everything about you. It's surprising what He keeps track of and what He knows. We're told He keeps a record of every member of your body. That means every part of you. God's got it on record in heaven. We're told He keeps a book of our tears. That means every bit of suffering, every bit of pain, of heartache that you went through that brought you to tears, God knows that struggle. He knows that heartache, and He's got a record of it. He numbers the hairs on our head. Do you realize how exacting, how meticulous and perfect His record is? The very hairs of your head, He's got numbered. He also keeps a record of every word we've spoken. Whether it's a good word or whether it's a bad word, it doesn't matter. God's got a record of everything. And He actually says one day we're going to give an account for the words we've spoken. God's book says that the eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. So what you're doing, what you're saying, God's recording. You know, that's pretty sobering, those record books, but there's one book in particular. This book is of utmost importance, and it's the one that I want to talk about today. It's called the Book of Life. Let me read to you out of the book of Revelations, chapter 20. It says, "And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the Book of Life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire." You know, that's an unsettling reality that I don't like, and I don't think you like either. But it's true. And so that brings us to a critical question, a question of utmost importance. Is your name in that book? You know, this world is crazy. On the one hand, you have pain, you have suffering, you have heartache, you have people just trying to get through life. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have people that are full of pride, they're rich, they're full of pleasures, they enjoy life, they enjoy the lust of the flesh, the pride of life, everything that this world has to offer. And on either end of that spectrum and all in between, you have mankind. They have it, but they're distracted by it. And so if you hear anything that I'm saying, hear this. Don't let the pain and the suffering or the pride of life and the riches that this world has to offer distract you from that one question that is so important. Is your name written in the book of life? God didn't leave us alone here on this earth to wander about in confusion, to be separated from Him, to live in misery or in pride. God, in His kindness and in His mercy, in His compassion, He gave us a book. You know, I talked about books in heaven, the record books. We talked about the book of life, but God gave us a book for us here on this earth. We call it the Bible, the Holy Scriptures. And God said that prophets of old and holy men of God were moved by His Spirit, and they wrote this book. They recorded it for us. And this book is like a treasure map that leads to the most incredible treasure ever. It leads to eternal life. It leads to hope and joy and peace in your heart. It leads to a relationship with the Father in heaven. The one who created this world, the one who created you, who created me, you can know Him. A lot of people think that this book we call the Bible is just an old dusty book full of words, and you read it and you say, wow, that's a good story, or you say, wow, that was kind of boring, and then you set it back on the shelf and you let it collect dust and you go and live your life. But that's not the Bible I know. That book is full of living words, and the words are designed to introduce you to someone. You see, we're not just to know the words of the book. The design of this book is for us to know the author of it, the one who wrote it. That is the purpose of it. And when you know Him, you get eternal life. You get peace and you get joy. You get righteousness. This book we call the Bible contains the words of a man named Jesus. This guy was an incredible guy. He walked through life perfect, without any mistakes. If there ever was a real-life superhero, someone with incredible power, it was Jesus. And the Bible records His words. Something that He said is just awesome. He said, the words that I speak unto you. So the words Jesus that He was speaking to His disciples and that we have recorded in the pages of that book. He said, the words I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. So I say unto you what the prophet of old, Isaiah, said, seek ye out the book of the Lord and read it. God promised that if you search for Him, you will find Him. It's not a maybe, it's a sure thing. We have a sure word from God. And He said, if you search for Him with all your heart, if you desire Him, you will find Him. Jeremiah 29 verse 13 says, and ye shall seek me and find me when ye shall search for me with all your heart. The Bible also says that God is a rewarder of them that diligently seek Him. So if you're hungry, if you have a heart for God, if you diligently seek Him, if you seek Him with all your heart, He promised you will find Him. See, this is a question about values and what you think is important. If you knew there was hidden treasure somewhere and you'd been given a map and you knew that treasure was priceless, you would do everything you could to find it. Well, in that same way, God's given us a book, a map that leads to the most priceless thing ever, relationship, reconciliation with God, and eternal life. So will you take that map and will you follow it and search for that hidden treasure with all your heart? I want to encourage you, do that. And He promised, if you do, if you diligently seek Him as a hidden treasure, you will find Him. Yes, this book tells us judgment is coming, but it also tells us how to escape the wrath and how to have eternal life. It tells us how we can pass from death to life, how we can come out of a state of brokenness, a state of insecurity, a state of confusion, and how we can walk into the glorious light of Jesus Christ. From an old life full of problems, full of condemnation, full of guilt, to a new life, eternal life, peace and joy with the Father. Read with me Revelations 22:17. And the Spirit and the bride say, come. And let him that heareth say, come, and let him that is athirst come. And whosoever will, let him take the water of life freely. 3 times in that verse, it says, come. 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 You know, the Spirit of God is all over this earth, and He's searching for men's hearts that are open to Him. God is longing to pour His goodness, to put His Spirit inside you and give you new life. And so the Spirit invites you to come unto God. And then it says that the bride says, come. And I am part of the bride of Christ. And so I echo those words, and I'm telling you, with everything that I have, come, drink of the waters of life. If you're thirsty for God, if you're hungry, if you want Him, then come. Drink of the waters of life freely.